Welcome to Pondering Passages. We are going to be reviewing today. We're going to be looking at, we're going to be studying, we're going to be pondering Psalm 116. I hope you can join us. My good friend Dave Mullins is going to be here. We expect Tom Cruise to stop by, and we are going to talk about this passage together. We're going to have some fun doing it. Hope you can join. See you shortly. We're going to talk about Psalm 119 today. Dave Mullins, my good friend. There he is.
That would be Psalm 116. 116.
That's true. Let's try. How many times can Curt say Tom Cruise?
You've got a thing for Tom.
I do.
I didn't.
You know, I thought I downloaded this one. Then it's like, I'm sure I didn't download that one. And I found it. I know I didn't download this one. I found it.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe it was God. Maybe it was a miracle. It's a miracle.
All right, we are back. We are ready for Psalm 116. Dave, right there.
Here I am.
And Curt, right here. And we are going to go through this. We are going to talk about what the psalm has to say, which I struggled with this week. I don't know,
Really?
Dave, how you felt about it. I did. It felt like the guy just couldn't, whoever wrote this, and I'm assuming it was a man in that day and age, just couldn't land on a really good, he just couldn't nail it.
Well, they're in the, I guess in the Latin and Greek Bibles, these are actually two different psalms.
Again,
But-
there you go.
But they seem to be a little weird. I mean, the second one starts out a little weird when you looked at it like that. At least that's what the
On
commentary that I looked at. Yeah.
In verse 8.
I think maybe that's where it started.
Yeah.
They said it was...
And a reminder for anybody who's listening, Dave and I don't talk about this before. We just
that
show up.
Evident. That should be pretty evident.
But it's not like you primed this to say, now, Curt, I'm going to mention two Psalms, and you say verse 8. We don't do that.
No, we don't. No, it was, verse 8 or verse 9. I don't know which one it was. Well, I guess
the one I circled.
Yeah, we can go ahead and jump into this. So
all right.
There we are. And I think it was verse 9 where it started. Nope. I don't know.
15.
It was one of those.
It's 15.
No, it was somewhere in the middle. But I really like this. This really, yes. I like the imagery of death wrapping its ropes around me. I don't know. I sometimes I get a little dark, and so that just. But I mean, look at how this thing starts. I love the Lord because He hears my voice and my prayer for mercy. He bends down to listen.
And that's a repetitive theme. We've read a Psalm not too long ago that had that same kind of imagery, which was beautiful.
Yeah. Yes,
but then it shifts. This is the thing that I really struggled with, is that verses 1 and 2 I think are just lovely.
Yeah,
and then verse 3, it's like he just watched Halloween, the movie Halloween or something, and it's very odd.
Well, I looked at it, I'm thinking this guy has come through a difficult situation. Maybe even he was sick, close to death, and God came through for him. And so this is his response. And so he talks about, I love the Lord because He hears my prayers. What was that prayer? Well, death had wrapped its ropes around me. The terrors of the grave overtook me. I saw only trouble and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord. Please save me. And He did. And He did.
Why? And isn't that strange? Why is it I didn't see any of this when I was reading it this week?
I don't know.
What happens? And I think this is helpful, Dave, if you can shed some light on this. What happens when we do read the passage and reread it every day, and yet there's something that just doesn't click, or it doesn't? But now that we're reading it together, it's like, that is really pretty. I really like that story that it's telling.
So what do you think it was that caused you not to be able to see that?
I don't know. I don't know what it was about either the time of the day it's no different than any other time I've read it.
Yeah.
I do mine in the morning, but there was something about it that as I was reading it, it just didn't seem to resonate with my heart, maybe.
Do you think because sometimes in some films they will, you'll have a flashback, but also a flash forward, and there are some films that do all three, and it can be very confusing. It's like, is this the past? Is this the future? Is this right now? Is this from the perspective of this scene, or is this? And I'm wondering if that could get in the way here, because he starts out kind of in the present, and then he does a flashback, but you don't necessarily know that it's a flashback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You might be expecting it to kind of lay out linearly, in a linear fashion.
Yeah, that's probably that could be it too.
He backs up and kind of gives the reason why he says verses 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well, keep leading us through this. I'm gonna listen to all of your insights and your wisdom related to this, because and I'll throw in my.
I was really what really jumped out to me was verse 7. I love that. Let my soul be at rest again, for the Lord has been good to me. That, I mean, for me, I could have stopped right there and been fine. But I think when I read through this, it reminded me, I haven't ever faced an illness that brought me near to death, but I have faced some situations that sometimes I thought maybe death would be a release, those difficult situations. But yet God has seen me through that. And so I could really, I think, track with this psalmist. And, then I called on the name of the Lord, please, Lord, save me. And how kind the Lord is, how good he is, so merciful, this God of ours.
Nice.
And even verse 6, the Lord protects those of childlike faith. I was facing death and he saved me. I mean, how much more simple can you get than that? I once was blind, but now I see. That was the story of the blind man in John chapter 9.
I think it's 9.
It wasn't 9. Is it 9?
It's 8 or 9. Yeah.
So yeah, and so then you get to verse 7. Let my soul be at rest. What does it mean for my soul to be at rest? So see, I could just dwell right there. But there's more to this psalm. Save me from death, my ears from tears. Oh, my eyes from tears, my feet from stumbling. So anything in that, Curt, you want to?
No, it's really lovely. You said a couple of weeks ago, maybe that was just you and I talking, but sometimes we're just not ready to hear. I mean, as you're reading through this, you're right. I mean, verse 7 is just beautiful. Let my soul be at rest again, which I like that it has been at rest before.
That's good. I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, that's good.
Let it be at rest again, and I know what it felt like, and I'd love to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ears from Tears, that's a 80s band I always really liked.
That's Tears for Fears. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I got confused. Well, let's go on. I love where this is heading.
And so he has kind of this experience. He talks a little bit about the result in verses 1 and 2. Then he talks about what's happened. And then this is his response in verses 9, as he goes on. So what is your response to this? What is your response that you were facing death and he saved you? What is your response that your soul is at rest again? Well, I walk in the Lord's presence as I live on the earth. I believed in you, so I said, I am deeply troubled, Lord. Am I anxiety? I mean, how much anxiety is right now in our culture and in our world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we are,
every day. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. In my anxiety, this is the one thing I struggled with. In my anxiety, I cried out to you, these people are all liars.
Why?
What does that have to do with my anxiety and anything else that's happened in this passage?
Well, bring it closer to home. I mean, it's really hard to find truth, and to repeat an oft used phrase in the last few years. It's fake news.
Mm.
Well, that phrase originated in verse 11 of Psalm 116. These people are all liars. Everything they say is a lie, and that creates anxiety, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've experienced that.
Well,
What is truth?
my issue was, how does this go along with everything else that he's been talking about? And one of the commentaries that I looked at helped me in this, because in that day and age, when you were ill or sick, there were theological beliefs. And so he was probably having a lot of people accuse him of things.
Well, this is a Psalm study, but let's go back to that John story that you're talking about. And it's
John chapter 9? Yeah.
It is John chapter 9.
Yeah.
So it starts with the disciples asking Jesus, why was this man born blind? Was it his parents that sinned or him? And that idea that he could have even sinned in the womb. So his blindness is not just a natural cause of a low vitamin intake or, whatever it could have been. But in fact, it had to have been a result of sin. Those are the only two options. He sinned or his parents sinned. And so exactly what you're saying, they're liars. And Jesus said it wasn't any of that. It wasn't any of those things.
So that helped me, realize that, okay, this very much is part of this psalm and something he's dealing with. And then he asked the question, I think it's a beautiful question in verse 12. What can I offer the Lord for all he has done for me? And I think that's the question that this psalm asks of
which
maybe
I
all
love.
of us.
This is the thing I've really enjoyed about hanging out with you as we've studied this, and as we're, for those of you who may not be part, we're doing an Ephesians Bible study with some folks. Some folks.
Yeah.
And the question that Dave keeps trying to push us towards, and I appreciate this, is what is this calling from me? What's the action that this passage is calling me to? And that's exactly what verse 12 is, right?
Yeah.
What's the action that I should be doing in response to God's faithfulness to me?
Yeah. And he has some answers for himself. He says, I will lift up the...
What is the cup of salvation?
You know what? I did look into this, and I don't know if I can. They talked, I think, in the Old Testament in different places about the cup of blessing. Jesus in the New Testament talks about, can you drink this cup? So I think it's just really lifting up that blessing. And for me, it was about letting other folks know. I don't know if that's exactly the case or not. But the second part of that verse kind of perhaps defines, the first part.
Name. Okay.
Yeah, praise the Lord's name for saving me. And the second thing, he says, I will keep my promises to the Lord in the presence of all of his people. So, praising God, keeping his promises. If I can get on the right screen here so we can go to the next one. And then in verse 17 and 18, he kind of recast that. I will offer you a sacrifice of thanksgiving and call on the name of the Lord. I will fulfill my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people. Those almost the same things. But verse 15 and 16, the Lord cares deeply when his loved ones die.
I thought that was so interesting. To me, that was the thing that I just spent the week thinking about that verse, to be honest.
Really?
And maybe that's why the whole psalm didn't speak to me, is because I'd kind of fixated on 15. I just thought that was so interesting. It was like Jesus weeping at Lazarus' tomb.
Yeah.
I mean, God really does care
Yeah.
about what's going on with our lives.
And here, when you think in context of the Old Testament and their belief about what happens after death.
Yeah.
And there's a psalm, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where it talks about the dead cannot praise you any longer.
Mm-hmm. The week before, yeah.
Because their belief was at death, that's it. And so that is the end of God's caring or anything.
Yeah.
But yet, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord cares deeply when his loved ones die. I'm your servant born into your household. You have freed me from my chains. Interesting, because there's almost like a sense of slavery there, but yet, a household, a slave. I mean, but yet you're free.
You could spend the whole time just talking about verse 16 and what that means. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I really tracked with this in several different places. And then it ends once again with the same way many of the others in this section of Psalms do, praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, praise the Lord. And this was one of the ones that they were used during Passover, one of the Psalms they would use. I think it's Psalms 113 through 118.
Yeah.
And this was, and I think they use this during the Eucharist too.
The early church?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it's whether Passover or the Eucharist as well. Yeah, I think it was Eucharist as well. And of course, the cup of salvation.
Right.
This is my blood poured out. So right there, you could lift up the cup, and really all of it speaks to the fact that we were, Ephesians 2, we were dead, but yet He's made us alive. And this psalmist, I think, has done a beautiful job of just really pulling all those components together.
I'm a fan. You won. You led me through it, and the psalmist won me over. Very nice.
I'm sure right now he's ecstatic. He's thinking, yes. It's the same. It's the same when someone clicks the like button for us on YouTube.
Yeah, it goes right up to heaven.
Subscribes. It just, we're like, yes. Curt actually calls me. It'll be like 3 a.m. He goes, we got another subscriber. I said, you're kidding. And we celebrate.
I don't know how we've gotten 20 already. I mean, it's just nuts. My son works in a game store, and they've purchased this like box for Facebook, and it says it's in real time. Somehow they've connected to the Facebook, and it tells how many likes they have on Facebook as a store. And he said people will people were coming in, and they would open up the Facebook app on their phone, and they would like it so they could watch it change, and then unlike it so they could watch it go back down. He said all day they're just going like, unlike, unlike, just to watch it flip.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. That's hilarious.
So, well, this is definitely one that gets a like. This is
definitely.
You're right.
Yeah,
I like, and I'm going to like the next one even more. 2 whole verses, shortest psalm in the whole Bible.
So I'm really curious on what we will have to say next week. So what's this word mean in Hebrew? What about the Latin? What's this word?
I don't know. We can make things go really long, or maybe
we have done that.
Short. We'll just make it really short.
It might be. And then we'll get ready for Psalm 119. Maybe we make this one really long and Psalm 119 really short.
I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible. So anyway.
All right. Well, thank
Psalm
you.
Psalm 119 has been looming.
Yeah, we're getting
for
closer,
quite a while. And
closer.
Now we're just like 2 Psalms away. No, 2 Psalms away.
There's nothing saying we have to do it.
Well, but then when you look through it, it's like, well, what happened to Psalm 119? It's too long.
Oh, did I tell you I'm sick in 2 weeks?
Wait. I think I'm doing a funeral.
18, 19. Only if I'm lucky.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Well, I hope anybody who's joined this was able to turn the corner like I was. If you've read it every day and you were like, I didn't get that, I hope Dave was able to shed some light on what it's about. And I'm not, doing this today. I mean, seriously, that's the beauty of working together as you're reading the passage, because there's going to be a time where and I don't know when it'll ever be when I get something Dave doesn't get. I don't know. When
you have. Happen, but you've already have. So
I didn't want to boast
times
about it. Yeah, there've been lots of times.
That's just how you are. Very, very humble.
Humble. I hope everybody has a great day, a great week. That you join us next week. Read Psalm 117 every day. It'll take you
read it twice,
15 seconds. Yeah, that's if you read it slow. And then we'll be back here and we'll talk about it, see what it has to say. All right?
All right. Blessings, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Go through and find references to the innkeeper.
Just in Luke.
No, it's not even in Luke.
Yeah, I mean, he's really dirty, and he's got this big cloud of
That's Pigpen from Snoopy.
It ruins the innkeeper's wife's naturally curly hair. I'm sure that's in Luke chapter 2 someplace.
It's amazing. All it says is they couldn't. There was no room in the inn, and then all of a sudden there's an innkeeper, and he turns them away. He's like a horrible person. This pregnant woman.
I know, it's great.
Yeah, at least the three wise men you can kind of make an argument for, because what wise man wouldn't bring a gift?
Well, and there are three of them and they've got names. Tim Ayers at Grace he did a pretty good sermon about the three wise men and how they've got certain names. And he said, I'm guarantee you when you get to heaven, you go asking around about where these Belshazzar and whatever their names were. He said, you aren't going to find them. He said, they're not there. It was a pretty good sermon.
Yeah, although you could make a pretty good skit with, you have like five wise men and the three handing gifts, and someone goes, brown noser. Man, I didn't know you were supposed to bring a gift.
I didn't sign the card.
Oh, this is from all of us.
I'll pay you when we get back to the Campbells.
Yeah.